Hello, fellow traders. 'Tis I, TheRumpledOne, coming to you on Tuesday, September the 24th. The year is 2024. Let's talk trading. Keeping it simple. These videos are for educational purposes only. Your results may differ from mine. Friendly reminder, let's keep risk management simple. Let's not lose any more in any one single trade than we're willing to lose. Now, I titled this Keeping It Simple. I was going to say something like keeping it simple is difficult or can be difficult. And, one of the reasons keeping it simple is not easy for some is because of brain management. I don't think I've shown this screen too often. I used to show it every day. But the thing is, if we don't manage our brain, which is probably the most important thing in trading, we're not going to have consistent results. We talk about trading plans, and in the trading plan, it's like Walmal's under the weather right now, and that's why he hasn't been on the video with me. But, he talked about how his plan's on a 3x5 card. I've talked about how, my plans have been on 3x5 cards. In other words, it's distilled down to just what is necessary. In fact, Walmart told me, I think it was last week, that he kind of changed up his trading chart because there were so many things on there he wasn't using. I kind of like the multimeters, and he says he never uses them. And the thing about it for me is it's just something that I don't look at each little teeny, box or rectangle. What I look at is just, is everything red? Is everything green? Is it mixed? And so it's just something that I keep. It's like corner of my eye. If everything's red, why do I want to buy? If everything's green, why am I looking to sell? In fact, sometimes I might be chatting with somebody over a text message or talking to them on the phone, and they're saying, yeah, I'm getting ready to do. I go, well, why? What's the reason? What's your plans say? And so what happens is, why am I talking about brain management? It's because it's probably one of these things here in white that's causing you to not keep it simple. If you look at the daily chart here on the pound, I see a very simple trade, and there's no horizontal lines on there. I'll give you a few seconds to see if you can guess what that simple trade is. The simple trade I see is the breakout of the previous day's high or low. Now, the problem that a lot of traders would have with that is, if you're sitting in front of your computer, it might be hours before you get that trade. Or what might have happened is, say you trade the New York session, maybe that occurred in the Asian session. So now you want to start switching sessions. But the fact of the matter is that, you can place your trades ahead of time, have a pending order, and you can set your TP and your stop loss ahead of time. But for a lot of traders, they can't do that. They refuse to do it. That's not how they trade, and that's okay. But the fact of the matter is that, that simple trade can can pay off. And, one of the reasons why they might not do it is because of this. You want to take the profit before the market takes it back. And so if you're in a trade and it goes up 2 or 3 pips and stops and starts to come back, you might just want to exit out of that trade. Take your 2 pips and be happy. But then traders go, yeah, but if your stop loss is 10 pips and you lose, now you have to have 5 winners. Well, maybe your stop loss shouldn't be 10 pips. Well, if I make it less, then I can get, chopped up. And the funny thing is that there's always a comeback to no matter what you do. So then, you get into the fear and the regret cycle, and just a downward spiral. And it causes you to basically fail, to basically lose. Now, if you've been around and watching my videos long enough, you know how I like to talk about the Launchpad, which is when price gets into the 40 level on the pound. And you can see here, where do we have it? 33.40, right there. That level right around the daily open. And you can see price launched from the Launchpad once again. And what I mean by launch is it's going to hit the 50 or 60 or keep going. And as you can see here, we've already hit the Launchpad at 33.40 today, and price went up. And now it's hitting it's getting ready to go up to 134. So then it would hit the 134.40 Launchpad. And what I've deduced why that works is because the psychological line here, the 50, well, there's stops being placed on either side, probably somewhere between 5 and 10 pips. And we've probably all said something about the brokers are running the stops. Well, if it's true, then there's something you can take advantage of. That's something you can exploit for your own profit. But once again, it takes discipline. And so as traders, you look at the chart and you see all this movement. But the thing is, it might not be a trade that fits your trading plan. And if you're not okay with sitting down to trade and not taking one trade because there wasn't a trade that fits your trading plan, if you can't do that, then you're probably going to have problems, because what's going to happen is you're going to get the FOMO, fear of missing out, and you're going to start either modifying your plan or forcing trades, trading by the seat of your pants, And it might work for a while. And then sooner or later, though, the market's going to bite you. And then it's going to bite you again and again and again. And you're going to wonder why your account got decimated. And it was your own doing. So the question is, can you sit down at your trading platform? And I don't know if you trade for an hour or 4 hours or 8 hours or 12 hours, but can you sit there and not take a trade because no trade presented itself according to your trading plan? And can you do that one day? Can you do it 2 days? Could you do it for a whole week? I mean, I know there's some stock traders that it might be a month before they place a trade because the instruments they trade did not provide them with their setup. Now, granted, usually in stocks, they're looking for bigger moves, especially the swing traders. And I guess that could be true in FOREX too. But for the most part, those traders are sticking to their plan. I mean, there's some trades that usually you can get a trade in every day. Like I like to do, the rat zone, for example. And most of the time, like right now, there's a red rat trade. But there's some days when it says range too small. And I don't get a trade that day. Not if I'm trading the rat zone. And so, I mean, that's just how it happens. Or on the pivot trading plan, it says price at or near the pivot, go long. Well, look, we weren't at or near the pivot, so there was no trade there. Okay, bias at R1 is short. Okay, it hit R1, so we could look for a short at R1, and right now you'd be up 6 pips. But you have to stick to it. And then you've got the Bambino flex indicator saying, let's look for the long. And so at or near the pivot. Now, the question is, we've got that central pivot range, which is you've got your pivot point, then you've got your previous day's midpoint, and then you take that distance and you put it to the top of the central pivot range and then the bottom of the central pivot range. So you could say, well, from this area, that's the direction you want to go. But the thing is that you don't force the trade. You stick with your trading plan. Looking for pivots to be taken out, trading, fading the pivot. And you see, right now we've got an open pivot for the day. Wick zone, once again. Sometimes you'll get that trade during the session, sometimes you don't. You can see here, there was a lot of wick zone action today. We didn't hit an ATR zone. So, fellow traders, the fastest 15 minutes trading's just about over. Might need to revisit the keeping it simple. But I really want you to think about, the question I asked. Can you sit down to trade and not trade for the whole session and be okay with it? Because it's not what you trade, it's how you trade it. So go out there and drain the banks. This is TheRumpledOne, over and out.